What's up, guys? We are back with another NECA Toys Turtles review, taking a look at something a little bit different today because this is, well, it's Turtles, but it's its own thing, sort of. So we're taking a look at the last Ronin figure. So this is the armored version. There's also an unarmored version that's coming at some point. Now, this, of course, is a comic turtle, but it's its own thing. It's, you know, it's a continuation of current storylines, and it's not Mirage, it's not Archie, it's just a little bit different from what we're currently getting and currently being barraged with. Now, this comes in an Ultimate style box, so it's that type of release. You've got a comic cover style artwork on the front, you've got comic artwork on both spines, and then the back of the box gives us the bio for kind of the storyline here, and then we've got product shots as well. Of course, it's an Ultimate release, so in typical fashion, you get the flap, so you can pop it open. You've got a big shot of whoever this mystery turtle happens to be, as well as our figure there in the big window. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package, our NECA Toys last Ronin figure, and I'm just going to use the name of this turtle because I'm sure everybody knows by now, right? I'm going to call him Mikey. And Mikey is an interesting figure. I mean, it's obviously a turtle when you look at him right now, but he's not exactly built like one. He's not that kind of figure. He still has some of the hallmark articulation quirks of a turtle, but he's not exactly the same. You know, he doesn't have a shell back here or anything, so that's a little bit different. He doesn't have a shell on the front either. He's mostly just a armored up kind of body. It's still kind of turtley, though, if that makes any sense. So as far as moving him around, we've got a head that can look up slightly and down just a little bit. Not really any tilt, and then you do have full rotation. The head is just pretty locked down. That's probably the one pain point for me when it comes to what's really different about Turtles. And it's a number of things with this figure. It's the fact that his head is a little bit lurched forward. He's got the big shoulder pads, and right now he's got the hood on. It all just kind of cinches him together. It gets in the way. The arms go out about this far. They don't go out all the way. You do have full rotation there, but of course the shoulder pads will stop you. But if you push them, I mean, they're going to go. You just don't, I don't like doing that. I don't like pushing that stuff outward. We've got our telltale NECA double jointed elbows, so that sort of tube that they sit in. There's rotation at the top of the elbow, and then the actual elbow itself is a little bit better than 90, but not much, and that's mostly because of this gauntlet that he has, the big sort of canister that sits around his wrist. Articulation at the wrist is your standard hinge and swivel. Decent range, not perfect, but it's decent range. It's all right. Nothing too crazy there. Torso is mostly just a swivel, though. He really doesn't have much in the way of going backwards or forwards. I mean, even if you want him to, he's not really going to. So he's mostly just a swivel there. You've got legs that go out about that far. Maybe a little bit more. The jacket is going to sort of get in the way. Legs kick forward all the way, backwards slightly. You got your twist up there. We've got double jointed knees. They go back that far. And then for the ankles, we've got rotation because of how this joint is structured and how the leg is built. And then you've got a little bit of rocker. That's maybe more than a little. That's decent rocker. And then we've got pretty good hinge down here also. I will note that I've not had any problems with stuck joints or nothing has been heated on this guy. He is as fresh as he can be out of the box right now. And he moves fairly well. There are some limitations, though. My real gripe is the head. There's just not a lot you can really do with it. The torso is, of course, limited because it doesn't do a whole lot, but when it comes to a turtle, it's normal. I mean, they don't have a twist to begin with, usually. So he has a little bit up on them there. Otherwise, a lot of what he has still feels like a turtle, while not looking like one. The looks, though, is where I think a lot of interest for this figure is going to lie because, well, it's a different kind of turtle. I think that on its own, a different, non-standard turtle figure from NECA, just in general, is appealing to a lot of folks, not to mention the fact that this was a very popular comic, So it has a lot of people interested just because it is so different, and it's a different version of our Turtles, and it's a different version of Mikey, and it's just something new. And this does look pretty fantastic. I am very happy with the way it looks. It's very accurate to the comic. It's still a comic style figure, but not in the same sense that like we have the Mirage figures or the Archie figures or even the Toon figures where they have that specific sort of aesthetic. He definitely has some comic book leanings when it comes to some of this line work, like some of this heavy line work right here on the shin armor. That looks very comic-y to me. Some of the scuffs on the shoulder pads look very comic-y to me, but it's not overt and it's not like right in your face. It's not bam, this is a comic figure. You know right from the get-go that it's supposed to be comic art in physical form. This just happens to be, the last Ronin toy. He still has some comic stuff, but it's not crazy, and I'm pretty happy that they kind of skirted that line to make him look a lot more realistic. I don't know that he's necessarily going to fit in with, like the movie Turtles. He's still a little bit too comic leaning for that, not to mention the fact that the idea behind this guy is very different in terms of construction, but he's still right now his own thing, but he's still quite obviously a turtle figure once you get him in hand, once you see all these accessories that he comes with, and then of course, how he's built. So you've got things that are clearly turtle-y, like the elbow pads and the knee pads, but some of the hallmark stuff about a turtle is missing here. No shell, very little exposed skin, stuff like that. One thing that I really, really like about this figure, though, is the weapon storage. And I say this a lot. There's a lot of weapon storage on this figure. I don't know that you can store everything on him. I don't think so, but he has a lot. There's a lot of stuff in here. I like this strap that they've concocted here that attaches to the belt, and then on the inside of the shoulder pad, which is actually, a movable sort of thread, and then you've got some plastic rope up here to sort of tie it all together, no pun intended. The belt looks really good. It's all patinaed, very, very leathery in texture. And then there's a lot of wear and tear all over his outfit, and it's all kind of sort of like a cobbled together outfit too. He's got a lot of disparate parts. He's got these really weird, like canister looking gauntlets that have some battle damage and silver paint on them. He's got the very old and dirty shoulder pads, and he's got this sort of tunic and this really, really weird set of shin armor down here. It's all a lot of different kinds of looks, and then of course he still has his exposed feet. So you've got some evidence that there's a turtle here with our exposed feet, our two toes, but then we've got our head sculpt up here, which is very, very on brand for this particular comic, because it has its own unique art style, it has its own unique look, and Mikey looks a certain way. The head is a little small here, not in a negative way, just in the sense that that's how it is drawn and that's how he's sort of put together, but I think it looks really good. He's got a very, very old and angry expression on his face. He's tired. He's tired of this. At this point, you've got, of course, your very black bandana, which I do really love the mask. I think it's great. It's just a cool idea that it's black instead of one of the signature colors. So that's a different thing on its own. But this, of course, is all sort of put together with Telltale NECA quality when it comes to sculpt and paint. And the sculpt on this figure is just phenomenal. And the paint work is tremendous. I mean, there's paint all over this guy, from more gritty, nasty, dirty, real-world kind of paint, like all of this patina all over the shoulder pads, but then you get a little bit of that sort of comic essence that gets pulled in with some of this line work around all these wrinkles, and then even with some of this battle damage on the gauntlets there. It just looks a little comic-y, but again, it's not overt, and it's not nearly as comic-y as the actual comic line figures, Mirage, Archie, stuff like that. And I do like the fact that they were able to sort of blend some of that, where this very real-world kind of design in the comics translated into a pretty nice real-world style of figure with some comic accents. Now, as far as accessories goes, this set has, honestly, it has a lot more than I thought it did. That happens so much when it comes to turtle stuff. I forget exactly what's coming, but he has an arsenal, and that, honestly, it makes perfect sense. If you've read it, if you know what he comes equipped with, he is just decked out. So to start with, we do get an extra head sculpt. So I've taken the hood off and I've popped the new head on, and this is just like a screaming, yelling, even more angry head. You can put the hood on this one, and then of course you can see I've got one of the bandana ties on the back. There are two of those. This is one that's draped over the shoulder, and then you've got another one that just flows back. So it's just a peg. There's just a hole back there. There's also a hole on the hood that helps keep it in place as well. He also comes with some hands. So he's got fists on him in the box. You get a set. Of course, the set is 2 gripping hands. and style pose hands. Telltale Turtle 3-finger hands. And then we get all of the accessories. And a lot of this stuff can be stored on him. I will say, storage is kind of weird just because of the setup here. And you can obviously, you don't have to do it this way. This is how it's supposed to be done. I believe, at least as far as I can remember. So to start with, we do get a sai. So we get Raphael's sai. You can put that on the front. I honestly thought that this went on the back, but I've seen a lot of pictures with it on the front. It looks good there, though. I like that. We get a single pair, if I can get them out, of nunchucks. And they can go back here on his back. You know, classic nunchucks. Real metal chain. Pretty good sculpt on them. I mean, nothing too crazy, but there is a lot of detail on them, surprisingly. And then we get, of course, the other Turtles' weapons. So we get a sword, and you get a sheath. Of course, you know, this is one of Leo's swords. Gold hilt, and you've got a silver blade there. The handle looks really, really nice. I like that sculpt, and there's a nice wash in that also. What I will say about this, though, is that it's supposed to go in here in this rope loop. It's really tight, and you can probably get it down into this, too, if you wanted to do something like this. Have it down here. This is probably safer and maybe more structurally sound. And then we've also got Donnie's bow. And this is also really, really tight to get in there, too. I'm not even sure that you can get it to wrap around to go around the wraps on there. I think it has to sit right up here at the top. But it's a good-looking bow staff. It's really big, too. It's basically as tall as the figure. Nice sort of finish on the wood itself. And then there's a lot of dirtiness all over those wraps. This could also go down in here, too, if you really wanted to do something a little bit different, just to sort of change them up. Change up that display, or however you're storing it. You know, you can do it however you want, obviously. And we also get like the riot baton thing. I don't know where this thing is supposed to be stored. I'm assuming it's supposed to go where I have the sword right now, but it's really, really tight. And it's just really difficult to actually get it in there, and it was even harder to get it out once I put it in. So I'm probably never going to store this on him. It is a intimidating looking weapon, though. Pretty killer sculpt, a lot of detail all over it, and there's even a wash on top of the black plastic. We get this, which I think this is a smoke bomb, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Little smoke bomb thing. We get the goggles, and these, of course, will go over either of the heads. It's got a little stretchy elastic band on it. Got some red on the glasses, and then silver frames. And then lastly, we get a smattering, and a smattering in this case means 4 of these little shurikens, ninja stars. So you got 4 of those guys also. So he is, I mean, to say the least, he is loaded with accessories. And it obviously makes sense. It fits the figure. It fits the character. But it's like, you know, a greatest hits of Turtles weaponry here. You get one of everything when it comes to the core Turtle weapons. You get a bunch of other stuff too. Hands, head, bandanas, riot stick, the whole 9 yards. There's a lot to mess around with when it comes to this figure. Oh yeah, and he also has this really, really rad claw dealie on a string, which is super awesome, really cool. I just completely forgot about it. Again, he has so much stuff that, I mean, I can't even keep track of it all. So yeah, overall, I am pretty happy with this figure. I think it's about what I expected it was going to be, really. It's still very much a turtle figure, while, again, not being a turtle figure. He's very different, but very familiar at the same time. If I have truly any gripes, it's that I do wish there was a little bit more articulation at the head. I would love to be able to make him look up or down, or just tilt the head a little bit more to get a little bit more expression out of him. Otherwise, a lot of the articulation is pretty normal and very much what you would expect for any other kind of turtle figure. What really does it for me is the overall look and the amount of accessories he comes with, because, again, this figure is absolutely loaded with a litany of just turtle-based accessories from everything you would expect to get, and then a bunch of other stuff, too. And, of course, he looks fantastic. It very much looks like he jumped right out of the comic without, again, in a weird way, not exactly being a super, super comic-y figure to me. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys The Last Ronin. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.